Have you ever noticed that just when you're about to cross into something great, the pressure increases, the opposition rises, and everything seems to push back against you? That's not a coincidence, it's a sign. The greatest battles always come before the greatest victories. You're not under attack because you're weak. You're under attack because you're winning. Have you ever felt like the moment you're about to break through, everything starts falling apart? Like just when you can see the finish line, the weight gets heavier, the obstacles get bigger, and suddenly it feels like the whole world is against you? Let me tell you something. That's not a coincidence. It's a pattern, a law of success. The greatest battles happen right before the biggest victories. The moment you decide to step into your destiny, challenges show up uninvited. The moment you choose to rise, resistance rises too. Why? Because you're about to step into something greater, and opposition is a sign that you're on the right path. Think about it. When do enemies attack the hardest? Not when you're wandering, not when you're confused, but when you're about to win. No one wastes time stopping something that isn't a threat. The pressure you feel right now, that's the proof that you are a threat to something or someone who doesn't want you to make it. But let me ask you, if you weren't powerful, if you weren't valuable, if you weren't close to something great, why would they even bother with you? See, the struggle you're facing is not about where you are right now. It's about where you're going. That's why the pressure increased. That's why the doors seem to close. That's why the distractions popped up. The battle is intense because your victory is near. But here's what you need to understand. The pain, the obstacles, the resistance, they are not signs for you to quit. They are signs for you to keep going. Too many people turn back right at the edge of success. Right when they're about to break through, they start doubting. They start questioning. They start asking, maybe this isn't for me? Maybe I should stop? No! This is for you. This is your moment. And if the enemy is fighting this hard to stop you, it means you're worth the fight. But here's the good news. Every great victory in history had a battle before it. Every successful person you admire, every great leader, every champion, you see their success, but do you know what they had to fight through? Do you know the resistance they faced? The losses they suffered? The opposition they had to overcome? If you knew what they had to push through, you'd realize your struggle is not a sign of defeat, it's the evidence of your coming success. So what do you do now? You push forward. You stay focused. You don't let the distractions win. You don't let fear dictate your future, because the enemy only fights what he fears. And right now, you are the biggest threat to everything that tried to stop you. But let me warn you, the moment you make up your mind to keep going, the resistance may not stop. In fact, it may intensify. Why? Because winning attracts more pressure. But don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens and how to use it to your advantage. Get ready, because what I'm about to tell you next might just change the way you see every challenge in your life. Have you ever wondered why the moment you decide to rise higher, everything around you seems to push back? You set a goal, you make up your mind to move forward, and suddenly, boom, opposition shows up like it was just waiting for you. Let me tell you something. That's not a coincidence. That's confirmation. Your struggle is not a sign that you're losing. It's the clearest proof that you are winning. You see, pressure doesn't come to people who are standing still. Attacks don't come to those who aren't a threat. Resistance doesn't show up in the life of someone who isn't going anywhere. So if you're facing obstacles right now, it means something is happening, something big. But here's what most people don't understand. The moment things get tough, they start questioning themselves. Maybe this isn't meant to be. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I should give up. No. The struggle is not a signal to stop. It's a sign to keep moving. Because if you weren't close to something powerful, why would anything try to stop you? If you weren't about to break through, why would resistance show up now? See, the enemy doesn't attack the weak, he attacks the strong. He doesn't waste time on those going nowhere. He targets those on the verge of greatness. That's why every time you set out to accomplish something, you feel the weight increase. The closer you get, the harder it gets. But think about this. When does a race feel the hardest? At the start when you're fresh, or at the finish line when you're exhausted but just a few steps away? It's the final stretch that takes everything you've got. And some people stop running not because they can't make it, but because they don't realize how close they really are. So, I'm here to tell you, don't stop. The struggle you feel right now, it's proof that your breakthrough is near. The opposition, that's evidence that you are on the right track. The pressure, it's a sign that your success is so close, it's making the enemy nervous. See, you don't face resistance because you're failing, you face it because you're winning. Every challenge is just a distraction, designed to pull your focus away from what's waiting on the other side. But let me ask you something. If you knew that everything you've been working for was just one step away, would you stop now? If you knew that the struggle was temporary but the reward was permanent, would you quit? No, you wouldn't. You would push harder, fight stronger, and press forward with more determination than ever before, because your future is not in the hands of those trying to stop you. It's in your hands. But listen to me. Just because you decide to keep going doesn't mean the pressure will disappear overnight. In fact, sometimes it gets even more intense. Why? Because winning attracts attention, and when you become a threat, the attacks come even harder. But don't worry, I'm about to show you exactly why this happens and how to turn every attack into fuel for your victory. Stay with me, because what comes next will change everything. Have you ever noticed that the moment you start making progress, something or someone tries to pull you back? The moment you get focused, distractions show up. The moment you start winning, opposition appears. That's not random, it's a law, because success never comes without a fight. You see, the very fact that you're experiencing resistance means that you're heading in the right direction. If you weren't making an impact, no one would try to stop you. If you weren't getting closer to something powerful, nothing would push back. But the moment you step into your purpose, the moment you decide to rise, the moment you start becoming everything you were meant to be, opposition increases. Why? Because greatness attracts resistance. The bigger your vision, the bigger the attack. The higher you climb, the stronger the wind. And the closer you get to your breakthrough, the harder the pressure becomes. That's how you know you're on the right path. Because no one tries to block a person going nowhere. No one fights something that isn't a threat. But here's the mistake too many people make. They see opposition as a reason to stop instead of a reason to keep going. They feel the pressure and think, maybe this isn't meant for me. But what if I told you that pressure is actually proof that this is meant for you? What if I told you that the very thing trying to stop you is actually confirming that you're about to win. See, resistance doesn't show up when you're losing, it shows up when you're about to succeed. So instead of being discouraged by the struggle, I need you to recognize what it really means. That challenge you're facing, it's not a dead end, it's a test. That opposition, it's not a sign to quit. It's a sign that victory is closer than you think. Because every major success story has a chapter of struggle, but the ones who win are the ones who refuse to back down. Now, here's the key. When you face resistance, you have two choices. You can either let it break you, or you can let it build you. You can either let it push you down, or you can let it push you forward. But quitting, that's not an option. Because if you stop now, you'll never see what was on the other side. And I promise you, what's waiting for you is greater than anything trying to stop you. So what do? You stand firm. You refuse to be intimidated. You take every setback and turn it into a comeback. Because resistance is not a roadblock, it's a stepping stone. And the very thing trying to stop you is actually preparing you for something greater. But listen carefully. The attacks may not stop. In fact, they may intensify. Because once you prove you won't quit, the enemy shifts tactics. The pressure increases, the distractions multiply, and the battle gets strategic. Why? Because now you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And what happens next will determine everything. So stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal next will give you the edge you need to win. Have you ever wondered why, the moment you start winning, negativity increases? People who once supported you now seem distant. Challenges that were minor suddenly feel like mountains. And just when you think you're about to step into something great, problems come from every direction. That's not an accident, that's a strategy. Because winning attracts resistance. Think about it. When you were struggling, nobody cared. When you had no direction, no one tried to stop you. But the moment you start making progress, the moment you step into your purpose, the moment you start winning, opposition appears. Why? Because success is not just about what you gain, it's about what you attract. And winning, my friend, makes you a magnet. A magnet for challenges, a magnet for critics, a magnet for resistance. But here's the question. Why does success attract opposition? Because the moment you rise, you expose everything and everyone who is comfortable with you staying low. Your growth makes some people uncomfortable. Your success challenges the status quo. Your discipline, your focus, your determination, it shines a light on those who chose to settle, and instead of rising with you, they'd rather pull you back. You ever notice that? The moment you start elevating, some people stop clapping. The moment you step into a new level, the old circle starts questioning you. That's because your success is a mirror. It reveals what others could have done but didn't. It exposes their excuses. And instead of changing, they criticize you. But listen to me. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't lower your standard to fit in. Don't stop winning just because it makes somebody else uneasy. You were not born to be average. You were not created to stay in the background. You were meant to stand out, to rise, to become everything you were destined to be. And if your success intimidates others, that's their problem, not yours. But let me warn you, winning not only attracts people who admire you, it attracts people who want to stop you. Because the higher you go, the more visible you become. And the more visible you become, the bigger the target on your back. Some people won't like you, not because you did anything wrong, but because you're doing something right. You're stepping into new levels. You're breaking cycles. You're proving that greatness is possible, and that makes you a 3 to everything that wanted you to stay small. So, what do? You keep winning anyway. You keep moving forward, you keep rising, you keep shining, you keep proving that nothing and no one can stop you. Because if resistance increases when you win, then guess what? The only way to silence it is to win even more. But here's the real challenge. What happens when the battle isn't just external? What happens when the resistance isn't just coming from others, but from within? The doubt, the fear, the insecurities. How do you conquer the enemy that lives in your own mind? That is where the real battle is fought. And what I'm about to show you next will determine whether you break through or break down. What if I told you that the struggle you're facing right now is not about you? What if I told you that the obstacles, the attacks, the resistance, it's not random. It's strategic, because the attack always comes before the achievement. You see, before anything great is built, there's a fight. Before a dream becomes reality, there's a battle. Before success shows up, opposition rises first. And if you're facing intense pressure right now, that's not a sign to quit. It's a sign that you're on the verge of something powerful. Think about it. When does the wind push hardest? Right before you reach the top. When does a woman feel the most pain? Right before she gives birth. When does a boxer face the strongest punches? In the final round. The attack is not proof that you're weak, it's proof that your breakthrough is near. And that's why the enemy is fighting so hard, because he knows what's on the other side. See, the moment you set your mind to achieve something, opposition is a sign to test you. The moment you start rising, resistance increases. The moment you commit to your purpose, distractions appear. Why? Because achieving something great requires proof that you can handle it. Look at every successful person you admire. Do you think they got there without a fight? Do you think they reached their dreams without setbacks, without betrayals, without moments of doubt? No. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is not the absence of struggles, it's their response to them. Some people run from the attack, others push through it. But here's what you need to understand. The attack is not about stopping you. It's about qualifying you, because pressure produces power. Fire purifies gold. Diamonds are only made under intense pressure. So if you're feeling the weight, if the battle seems unfair, if the attacks are relentless, congratulations. That means you're in the process of being made stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the next level. But let me ask you, what if the very thing trying to break you is actually building you? What if the resistance is training you for the victory ahead? What if this attack is actually part of your assignment? See, the enemy wouldn't fight you this hard if you weren't about to win. He wouldn't waste time trying to block you if you weren't carrying something valuable. And the reason the attack is so strong is because your achievement is so close. So what do? You stand, you fight. You refuse to back down, because you're not fighting for where you are, you're fighting for where you're going. And if the battle is this intense, that means the victory is going to be greater than you ever imagined. But listen to me, the external attacks are one thing. The pressure from the outside is expected. But what happens when the biggest battle is not around you, but inside you? When the real fight is in your own mind. Because if you don't master this next challenge, you'll never step into your destiny. And what I'm about to reveal next is the key to winning that war. What if I told you that the greatest battle you will ever face is not the one happening around you, but the one happening within you? The enemy on the outside can't defeat you unless the enemy on the inside surrenders first. You see, the real war isn't just about the challenges, the setbacks, or the opposition. The real fight is in your mind, because if the enemy can make you doubt yourself, if he can fill you with fear, if he can convince you to quit before you even try, then he doesn't need to stop you because you will stop yourself. Think about it. How many people have given up on their dreams, not because they weren't capable, not because they weren't talented, but because they let fear talk them out of their destiny? How many people walked away from opportunities, not because they weren't qualified, but because their own mind told them, you're not good enough? The enemy doesn't need to take away your potential. He just needs to convince you that you don't have any. And here's the truth. The moment you believe the lie, it becomes your reality. The moment you accept fear, it controls you. The moment you allow doubt to take root, it grows until it suffocates everything great inside of you. That's why the battle of the mind is the most dangerous war you will ever fight. But let me tell you something. The voice of fear is a liar. The voice of doubt is a distract. The thoughts telling you that you can't make it, that you're not good enough, that you should just quit, those are not your thoughts. That is an attack on your destiny. And the only way to win is to fight back. You fight back by speaking to yourself. You fight back by standing on the truth of who you are. You fight back by rejecting every lie that tells you you can't and replacing it with "like me." Because the only way the enemy wins is if you stop fighting. See, success doesn't start with action. It starts with mindset. Winners don't win because they never face fear. They win because they refuse to let fear control them. They don't win because they never feel doubt. They win because they choose to believe in themselves anyway. They don't win because it's easy. They win because they decide that no excuse is strong enough to stop them. So let me ask you, are you going to let the enemy in your mind steal your future? Are you going to let fear make your decisions? Are you going to let doubt keep you from the life you are meant to live? Or are you going to stand up, take control, and win this battle once and for all? Because here's the secret. The moment you conquer the war in your mind, everything else begins to fall into place. The moment you silence the lies, doors start opening. The moment you refuse to surrender to fear, opportunities start chasing you. But there's still one more thing, one final attack that tries to break even the strongest warriors. And if you don't recognize it in time, it can destroy everything you've worked for. So stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal next is the final key to unstoppable victory. What if I told you that the greatest threat to your success is not your enemies, not your obstacles, not even your fears, but the weight you're carrying? Because some battles are not lost due to a lack of strength, but because the weight was too heavy to keep running. You see, when you're walking in your purpose, when you're stepping into your destiny, you can't afford to carry unnecessary baggage. Some of you are trying to move forward, but the past is weighing you down. Some of you are trying to rise higher, but toxic relationships are pulling you back. Some of you are trying to reach your next level, but you're still holding on to the hurt, the betrayal, the disappointment, and it's slowing you down. Listen to me. You cannot win your future if you're still chained to your past. You cannot step into a new season if you refuse to let go of the old one. And you cannot run this race carrying things that were never meant to go with you. Think about it. Have you ever seen a runner in a race carrying weights on their back? Have you ever seen an athlete trying to win while holding on to baggage from the past? No. Because in order to win, they have to let go of anything that slows them down. And yet so many people wonder why they feel stuck, why they feel drained, why they feel like they're moving in circles. When the answer is simple, they're carrying too much. Some of you have dreams, but you're still holding on to people who don't support you. Some of you have vision, but you're still carrying the opinions of those who don't believe in you. Some of you have potential, but you're still weighed down by the fear of failure, the pain of rejection, the guilt of past mistakes. And as long as you keep carrying that weight, you will never be able to run at full speed. But here's the truth. You have a choice. You can either let go of the weight or let the weight hold you back. You can either release the pain or let the pain define you. You can either break free or stay stuck in a cycle that was never meant for you. So, what's it going to be? Are you willing to release what's no longer serving you? Are you ready to let go of the people, the mindsets, the excuses that are keeping you from becoming everything you were meant to be? Because if you're not willing to let go, you will never be free to move forward. But let me warn you, the moment you decide to drop the weight, the moment you choose to break free, the moment you step into a new level, something unexpected happens. The people who were fine with you struggling suddenly start questioning you. The environment you once fit into no longer feels comfortable, and you start to realize that your next level will require a new version of you. And that, my friend, is the next challenge, because stepping into a new level isn't just about letting go of the past. It's about embracing who you must become. And what I'm about to share next will show you exactly how to step into your next season with power. What if I told you that the version of you that got you here is not the version that will take you there? What if I told you that your next level is not waiting for the person you used to be, but for the person you are willing to become? See, too many people want the rewards of the next level, but they don't want the responsibility of it. They want success, but they don't want to grow into the person that success requires. They want elevation, but they're still thinking, acting, and living like the old version of themselves, and that's why they stay stuck. Not because the next level isn't available, but because they refuse to become the person who can handle it. Think about it. When a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, it doesn't just change its appearance, it changes its entire nature. A butterfly doesn't crawl like a caterpillar, it doesn't move like a caterpillar, it doesn't even eat the same things as a caterpillar. It steps into a completely new way of existing, and the same applies to you. If you want to step into a higher level, you must be willing to release the version of yourself that was only built for the lower level. Some of you have dreams, but you're still thinking like the person who was afraid to chase them. Some of you have vision, but you're still moving like the person who was too scared to take action. Some of you have been praying for a new level, but the truth is, you're still operating with an old level mindset. And until you change, nothing else will. You see, every level of success demands a new version of you. A stronger you, a wiser you, a more disciplined you, a more focused you. And if you refuse to grow, if you refuse to shift, if you refuse to become the person that your next level requires, then even if the door opens, you won't be ready to walk through it. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay the same. You can choose to grow. You can choose to learn. You can choose to develop the habits, the mindset, the discipline that will prepare you for what's coming. Because let me tell you, your next level is not waiting on the economy. It's not waiting on other people. It's not waiting on luck or chance. It's waiting on you to become the person who is ready for it. So my question to you is simple. Are you willing to become who you need to be? Are you willing to release the old, embrace the new, and step fully into the person you were meant to become? Because the moment you decide to grow, the moment you commit to becoming better, the moment you refuse to stay the same, everything begins to change. But let me warn you, growth is uncomfortable. Transformation is painful. And the moment you start changing, the moment you start evolving, not everyone around you will be happy about it. And that's where the next challenge comes in, because the higher you go, the more you'll realize not everyone is meant to go with you. And what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly how to handle the people who can't handle your growth. What if I told you that not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you? What if I told you that some people were only assigned to your past, but they have no place in your future? See, one of the hardest lessons in life is realizing that growth creates separation. The higher you go, the fewer people can go with you. The more you develop, the more you start noticing that some relationships no longer fit where you're going. And that's not a bad thing, it's a necessary thing. Think about it. Have you ever seen an eagle flying in a flock of pigeons? No, because eagles fly at heights that pigeons can't reach. And the problem with some of you is that you're trying to soar like an eagle while still hanging around pigeons. You're trying to elevate, but you're still tied to people who don't want to grow. You're trying to go higher, but you're surrounded by those who are comfortable staying low. Listen to me. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a season, not a lifetime. Some people were placed in your life to teach you something, but they were never meant to stay. And if you try to hold on to people who have expired in your life, you will slow yourself down, you will drain your energy, and worst of all, you might miss the next level that's waiting for you. Some of you have been struggling not because you lack talent, not because you lack opportunity, but because you're carrying people who were never supposed to be part of your journey. Some of you are losing your passion, your focus, your motivation, because you're surrounded by voices that don't believe in your vision. And as long as you keep holding on to the wrong people, you will never have room for the right ones. But here's the truth. Letting go is hard. Walking away from people you love is painful, but nothing will cost you more than staying connected to people who are holding you back. You see, real friends push you forward. Real connections challenge you to grow. Real relationships add value to your life, not drain it. And if you find yourself constantly making excuses for someone, if you're always feeling guilty about outgrowing certain people, if you're shrinking yourself just to keep others comfortable, it's a sign that you need to let go. So my question to you is, are you willing to separate from what's familiar in order to step into what's greater? Are you willing to release the relationships that no longer serve your purpose? Are you ready to walk away from the distractions, the negativity, the mindsets that are keeping you small? Because the moment you do, you'll start to notice something powerful. New doors will open. New opportunities will appear. The right people will show up at the right time. And suddenly, the weight you didn't even realize you were carrying will be gone. But hear me. The moment you separate from the wrong people, the next challenge arises, because now it's no longer about who's around you, it's about what's in you. And what I'm about to reveal next is the final key to unstoppable success. What if I told you that the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against an enemy on the outside, but against the limitations on the inside? What if I told you that your biggest obstacle is not what's happening around you, but what's happening within you? You see, Everything you've been through, every challenge you've faced, every setback that tried to break you, wasn't just about stopping you. It was about shaping you. The pressure, the pain, the struggles were all designed to prepare you for something greater. But here's the real question. Have you allowed your struggles to make you stronger, or have you let them convince you that you're not strong enough? Because the truth is, the final key to your victory isn't found in what you have, it's found in what you believe. It's found in the mindset you choose, the identity you embrace, the confidence you walk in, because no matter how much potential you carry, no matter how many doors open for you, no matter how great your destiny is, if you don't believe in you, none of it will matter. Think about it. Have you ever seen a lion question if it's a lion? Have you ever seen an eagle doubt that it was meant to fly? No, because they don't operate based on fear, they operate based on identity. And the problem with so many people is that they've spent their entire lives listening to the wrong voices, believing the wrong opinions, allowing fear and doubt to dictate their decisions, and as a result, they've forgotten who they are. But let me remind you, you were not created to live in fear. You were not designed to play small. You were not meant to live a life full of regret, doubt, and hesitation. You were meant to stand in power. You were meant to walk in confidence. You were meant to rise up, take control, and become everything you were destined to be. So my question to you is simple. Will you step into your identity, or will you keep shrinking back into your insecurities? Will you embrace the strength that's already inside of you, or will you keep believing the lies that tell you you're not enough? Will you finally break free from everything that's held you back, or will you keep waiting for permission to be great? Because the moment you truly decide to believe in yourself, everything changes. Doors that were closed will open. Opportunities that seemed impossible will appear. And suddenly you realize the only thing that was ever standing in your way was you. So this is it. This is your moment. No more waiting, no more doubting, no more letting fear rob you of the life you were meant to live, because the battle is already won. The only thing left is for you to claim your victory.